In your face, Harold. A new poll shows Democrats have a 3-point edge over Republicans among registered voters, which is down from a 5-point lead in May. But maybe more brain-dead social media trends can reverse this trend. Roll it, Fritz.
All right, I think we're ready to go.
You know what they say. If you want something done, get a woman to do it.
Or we're going to talk about how Trump didn't even show up for his own signing ceremony.
You know, without any explanation, I don't even know what that is. So, Harold, generally it's understood that the party not in power makes significant gains in midterms, so it's no surprise because the party in power is under more scrutiny and they have to perform. But these numbers do not reflect the kind of dramatic rebound you might expect from the Democrat Party.
I think you're right. I think the numbers, I think people look at polls and they take the wrong things from them. To be 10 points ahead and not be at 50 a year before the election is just a snapshot of where things are. This poll here suggests to me that neither party is satisfying the majority of Americans, that people want politicians and the parties to focus on their needs and their priorities. And that's not being done. We talked about broke Democrats. There's many broke Republicans, unfortunately. I'm not for anybody being broke. I want people to work hard and be able to access the American dream. The other polling shows that more Americans today believe that the American dream is not within reach for themselves and their kids than ever before. And we can debate why that is the case, but I think part of the reason is that people don't believe the economic ladder is there for them to climb it fairly. The education ladder is not there for them and their kids to achieve and to gain knowledge that will help them to grow and, for that matter, prosper in an economy like the one we all want. Again, as I said, socialism has no place in my party, but I understand where people are coming. Again, the Jon Stewart piece I thought was just incredibly salient. And your point, Greg, the answer to that, we have to figure out ways for those of us in the party, blame me and some in my party, moderates in my party, for some of this, because we're not giving people ideas. We're not giving people answers that they believe are better than the socialist track. But I got to tell you, no police, no borders, supporting Hamas, people not working, people getting everything for free, that's not a recipe for success in America. But I got to tell you, I understand people saying, well, give me something I can cling to. And I say to me, I say to Democrats, and I even say to some moderate Republicans who are concerned, as I saw it in the hearing yesterday, about what our strategy and objectives are in the war, we have to give people answers. Otherwise, I understand people who have little, who fear, who are at the least on the margins of society. They want more. And we in politics who want to lead them, we got to give them better answers.
Jesse, in response, these liberal leaders are doing Netflix documentaries, social media.
So Trump creates trends and they just follow them. Remember? Trump with the briefcase full of cash in the 80s. He was doing that before Diddy. He was doing that before Mayweather. How about the slogans or the hats? Or now my friends are like, thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah. I mean, he brought the YMCA dance back. And remember the next week, all those guys catching touchdowns in the end zone doing it? He just does it. He was doing AI memes before there was AI. Remember the clips of him driving the ball, knocking Hillary down to her knees? They can chase all they want, but they're not leaders. And that's what the voters see. It should not be this close. It really shouldn't. Why is it this close? Is because the American people remember how dumb they were. 3 years ago, the Democrats blew up the banks, blew up the border, and ran this country into a ditch. And Donald Trump's doing the best he can. You know, it's not fixed yet. Give him some time. But people remember how bad it was, the crime, the nonsense with the political correctness, all the stuff with the women and the hoaxes and the lies. And it was so overwhelming. And it's now like, all right, well, we're not ready to change, but like, what are you offering? They're not offering anything on prices, on crime. They don't have an agenda. It's just hate.
Martha, it does. This latest online stunt seems very thirsty. You know, they're chasing likes. It makes them just seem kind of oblivious.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jesse's right about this. It's when something is organic and authentic, then people start riffing off of it all over social media. But when you try to create something like this, it falls flat. Remember when they did Choose Your Fighter?
Yeah.
Yes. And this is their new version of Choose Your Fighter, and that went nowhere. But, the authenticity of a message is the most powerful thing in politics. But one of the things that is lost here in this idea of economic difficulty is the idea of striving to get where you want to go. This notion that you could, this socialist platform says, don't worry about rent. It's like, all I worried about when I was, 28 was rent. It's like, I have to pay my rent, then maybe I'll be able to go out on Friday night for a little bit and have a little bit of money, and then I'll work on Saturday night at the restaurant. It's like this idea that everything, Greg and I were talking about this in the break before, that like the basic is like your Starbucks stop, your cell phone, your vacation, and then the rest is gravy. And then, but you want someone to pay your rent. It's completely un-American, but I feel like there's not enough emphasis on like, just do it, And this kid, I shouldn't call him a kid, he's a young man, this DSA co-chair was basically looking at me like I had two heads when I said, well, what about self-reliance? He's like, that's not the way you should go. But, he complains that the Tish family is a Skyan, billionaire family. I'm like, okay, they were immigrants from Poland and Ukraine. They bought a dumpy hotel in New Jersey and turned it into a fortune. This is called hard work. This is called building your life in America. And I just feel like it's not talked about enough.
I think you have to give, just to defend the DSA guy, you weren't wearing a hijab. It's shocking. Kaylee.
No, I was not.
Yes. Kaylee, it would be better if they spent their time on ideas. But I think that muscle has gone away.
Yes. I spent my week coming up with polls for Jessica because we always battle with our polls. And she's not here, but I'll share them with you, Harold. Although I thought what you said was very reasonable. So I don't have a foil right now. But Jessica, I wanted to share these polls. The generic ballot, the Washington Post, you have Democrats only up by 3. It wasn't in isolation. Morning Consult also had Democrats just up by 3. And by way of comparison, 2018, which was a very good year for Democrats, they were up by 10. Okay? So generic ballot, you have Democrats down. Who do you agree with on the issues? Republicans win by 1 point in the Washington Post. And that gets to Martha's point, and the point being made, where are the ideas from the Democratic Party? People are realizing, okay, the Republican Party has ideas. We still have struggles as a country we need to get over economically and otherwise. We have to resolve the war with Iran. But the Republican Party is the party of Trump accounts. The Republican Party is the party of tax cuts. The Democratic Party is the party of complaints and lack of ideas. My warning to Republicans, however, though, when you look at those certain to vote, Democrats are up by 8. When you look at enthusiasm, Democrats are up by 10. They are energized. Trump derangement syndrome is not an answer for an independent voter, but it certainly is a motivator for some in the Democratic Party. Neera Tanden, very interestingly, former Biden White House staffer, said everyone assuming a landslide in November, you should probably rethink that. I think redistricting could be the tiebreaker. We saw with that, Democrats need to overperform by about 3 to 4 points. That being said, every day, 103 days between now and November, Trump accounts, tax cuts, the Republican plan needs to be emphasized over and over and over and juxtaposed against socialism. If the party doesn't do that, we definitely lose.
You said people most certain to vote Democrats are plus 8.
Plus 8. The
and then plus 10.
I gave one to Jessica on that one.
No, you just give it to America. America needs to hear what you're saying. I don't look.
America's not
Republicans need a better message because if their message is working, they wouldn't be down 8
Well,
to 10.
we're up against a historic trend. I mean, that. We have the White House.
No, but I can criticize my party. You can.
I did criticize my party.
The people hurting the most are the people. And the people are saying to politicians, I don't care what your party is, focus on my priorities and my needs. And I think whichever party does that best, it could be the Republicans, it could be the Democrats, but whomever does it best will win.
Republicans have done it, but now they need to say
You too. Knock it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.